Sorry to interrupt this collective ego-stroking session, but are you guys actually going to order something, or did you just come here to inflate his ego all night? No one had ever spoken to me like that. No one. And the most shocking part? I didn't feel angry. I felt something completely different. A wave of surprise so strong it made me forget about the three heiresses competing for my attention, the mayor's rehearsed speech about strategic partnership, and even the weight of the engagement ring burning in my suit pocket. For the first time in years, someone had looked me in the eyes without seeing dollars, power, or a last name. She had seen just a man surrounded by idiots, and had put us all in our place. My name is Simon Montgomery. I'm 31 years old, and I'm exactly 47 days away from my arranged marriage to Vivian Ashford, the daughter of Silicon Valley's biggest tech mogul. It's the kind of union my father has been planning since I was 12. Strategic, profitable, and inevitable, as he likes to say. Vivian is beautiful, intelligent, and completely boring. Our conversations are about as thrilling as reading software terms and conditions. But tonight, sitting in this pretentious Boston restaurant, surrounded by people who laugh at my jokes before I even finish them, all I can think about is the red-haired waitress with honey-colored eyes who just humiliated me in front of 15 people. Marlo. That's the name embroidered on her apron. Simon, did you hear what I said? Tatiana's shrill voice, one of the heiresses glued to my table, brings me back. Daddy wants you to have dinner with us on the yacht next weekend. He's already committed to me, interrupts Sienna, flipping her platinum blonde hair over her shoulder. We're going to the charity art auction. I hadn't agreed to either. Marlo passes by the table again, this time carrying a heavy tray. She doesn't look at me. In fact, she seems to make a point of avoiding any eye contact. But I can't stop watching her. The way she moves with purpose, without that studied gracefulness of the women in my social circle. She's real. Excuse me. I stand up abruptly, interrupting the mayor in the middle of a story about golf courses. I cross the restaurant to the bar where Marlo is organizing glasses. That was a memorable entrance, I say, trying to sound casual. She doesn't even turn around. If you came to complain to the manager, he's in the office. Second hallway on the left. I didn't come to complain, I came to thank you. Now she looks. Those honey-colored eyes are full of distrust. Thank me. For telling the truth, that over there, I point to my table, is a circus. A ghost of a smile plays on her lips before disappearing. Must be hard being rich and adored. The irony in her voice should irritate me. Instead, it makes me smile. Do you always say what you think? Always, she responds, finally facing me completely. And it always gets me in trouble. Like now, I'm talking to a customer when I should be working. So, if you're not going to order anything, a bourbon, neat. She arches an eyebrow but grabs the bottle. Her movements are efficient, without flourishes. Marlo, I say her name, testing how it sounds. Unusual name. And Simon isn't? Touché. She slides the glass in my direction. Our fingers touch for a fraction of a second, and I swear I feel an electric current. Your fan club is calling you, she says, nodding toward my table where Tatiana is gesturing dramatically. I should go back. I should smile, wave, play the role I've always played. But all I want is to stay here and figure out why this woman, who clearly isn't impressed by me, is the most interesting person I've met in years. The problem? In 47 days, I'm going to promise my life to someone else. And for the first time, that thought suffocates me. I went back to that restaurant 3 times in 1 week. The first time I told myself it was because they had excellent oysters. The second time, I claimed I needed a quiet place to review contracts. By the third time, I stopped lying to myself. I was there for her. Marlo had this infuriating habit of treating me exactly like every other customer, polite but distant, efficient but cold. While everyone else in my life fought for my attention, she seemed determined to pretend I didn't exist beyond being table 7. The salmon again, she asked on Thursday night, not even bothering to write it down. You memorized my order. You've ordered the same thing 3 times. It's not exactly rocket science. She tucked a strand of red hair behind her ear, and I noticed the paint stains on her fingers. Will that be all? Those stains, I pointed. You paint? For the first time, I saw her guard slip, just for a second. That's none of your business. I'm making it my business. Why? She crossed her arms, and those honey eyes challenged me. Why does a guy like you care about a waitress who paints? Maybe because you're the only person in this city who talks to me like I'm human. The words came out more honest than I intended. Marlowe's expression softened slightly before she caught herself. Your salmon will be ready in 15 minutes, she said, walking away. But when she brought my food, there was a small sketch on the napkin, a rough drawing of a man drowning in a sea of wine glasses and fake smiles. In the corner, she'd written, Table 7's reality. I laughed. Actually laughed. When was the last time that happened? You seem distracted lately, Vivian said on Friday, sipping her champagne at the engagement party my mother insisted on throwing. Is everything all right with the merger? That's what she called our marriage. The merger. Everything's fine, I lied, watching couples dance to a string quartet that probably cost more than most people's annual salary. Vivian was wearing a dress that cost $30,000. Her smile was perfect, practiced in front of mirrors since childhood. She talked about our honeymoon in the Maldives like she was planning a corporate acquisition. Mother suggested we do the ceremony at the estate, she continued. The gardens will be perfect in December, and the guest list is nearly finalized. 450 confirmed so far. 450 people I barely knew, celebrating a marriage neither of us wanted. Vivian, I started, not even sure what I was going to say. Oh, there's Senator Crawford. We should go say hello. Daddy wants to discuss the infrastructure bill. She grabbed my arm, and we moved through the crowd like chess pieces on a board. This was my life. Planned, predictable, profitable, and I was suffocating. Saturday night, I showed up at the restaurant without a reservation. It was packed, and Marlowe was rushing between tables, her face flushed from the chaos. We're completely booked, the hostess informed me. I'll wait at the bar. I watched Marlowe work for an hour. She was good at her job, attentive without being intrusive, quick without seeming rushed. But I also noticed the tired lines around her eyes, the way she winced when she bent down, like her feet were killing her. When the crowd finally thinned around 10, she appeared at the bar with a glass of water. You're stalking me now? She asked, but there was no real heat in her voice. I prefer the term persistent interest. Most people would call it harassment. Are you most people? She took a long drink of water, considering me. Why are you really here, Simon? Hearing my name in her voice did something to me. Honestly, I don't know. I just know that every conversation I have feels scripted except when I'm talking to you. That's because everyone wants something from you, she said simply. Money, connections, status. I don't want any of that, so I have no reason to pretend. What do you want? To finish my shift without my feet falling off. She started to leave, then paused. But if you're going to keep showing up here, at least tip well. Carlos, the busboy, is saving up for his daughter's quinceañera. She walked away before I could respond. But I left a $500 tip that night. Not for her, for Carlos. On Sunday, my father called me into his office at Montgomery Industries. The Ashford deal closes in 6 weeks, he said, not looking up from his papers. Make sure you're ready. This marriage secures our position for the next generation. What if I'm not ready? That made him look up. His eyes were cold, calculating. Then you get ready. This isn't about feelings, Simon. It's about legacy, about duty. And what about happiness? He actually laughed. Happiness is a luxury for people without responsibility. You were born into this family. Act like it. I left his office feeling like the walls were closing in. I drove aimlessly through Boston until I found myself parked outside the restaurant again. Through the window, I could see Marlowe laughing with the kitchen staff, her whole face transformed by genuine joy. She had nothing, worked double shifts, had paint under her fingernails from chasing dreams between tables. But she had something I'd lost years ago, freedom. And watching her, I realized something terrifying. I was falling for a woman I barely knew while 46 days away from marrying someone else. This wasn't just dangerous, this was catastrophic. But I couldn't seem to stop myself from going back inside. I found her gallery opening by accident. Or maybe it wasn't an accident at all. Maybe I'd been looking for excuses to learn more about her, searching her name online at 2 in the morning like an obsessed teenager. The gallery was in a converted warehouse in South Boston, the kind of neighborhood my driver usually avoided. Inside, the walls exploded with color, abstract paintings that somehow captured raw emotion in brushstrokes and chaos. And there she was, standing in front of her largest piece, wearing a simple black dress instead of her waitress uniform. Her red hair was down, cascading over her shoulders, and she was talking passionately to a couple about the meaning behind. She didn't see me at first. I hung back, watching her. This was the real Marlo, not the guarded waitress who kept everyone at arm's length, but an artist who poured her soul onto canvas. You came. I turned to find her beside me, holding a plastic cup of cheap wine. Up close, I could see the nervousness in her eyes, despite her confident posture. I came, I confirmed. These are incredible, Marlo. They're honest, she corrected. That's all I know how to be. We stood in silence, looking at a painting that seemed to show a person trapped behind glass walls while the world moved around them. Is that how you see people like me? I asked quietly. That's how I see everyone who's forgotten how to be free. She took a sip of wine. Why are you really here, Simon? And don't give me that line about honest conversations. Maybe I'm tired of living behind glass. She studied my face, searching for the lie. When she didn't find it, something shifted in her expression. There's a rooftop upstairs, she said. I need air. Come with me. The Boston skyline glittered before us, and for the first time in weeks, I could breathe. 28 years old, working double shifts, painting whenever I can steal a few hours, Marlo said, leaning against the railing. That's my life. Not glamorous, definitely not profitable. But it's mine. It's more than I have. She laughed bitterly. Right. The billionaire heir has nothing. I have money. I have power. I have a future already written for me. I moved closer to her. But I don't have choice. I don't have freedom. I don't have... I stopped, realizing what I was about to say. Don't have what? This. I gestured between us. Whatever this is. Marlo turned to face me fully, and in the moonlight she looked both fierce and vulnerable. This is dangerous, Simon. You know that, right? I know. You're engaged. In what? 6 weeks you're marrying someone else? 43 days. And you're here with me. She shook her head. What are we doing? I don't know, I admitted. All I know is that I can't stop thinking about you. About that first night when you looked at me and saw through all the bullshit. About your sketches on napkins and the paint under your fingernails. About how you're the only real thing in my life right now. I'm not a rebellion, Simon. I'm not some project to make you feel alive before you settle into your arranged marriage. Her voice was sharp, protecting herself. I've been someone's temporary escape before. Never again. That's not what this is. Then what is it? I didn't have an answer. Or maybe I did, but saying it out loud would make it real, would make it impossible to walk away. The door to the rooftop burst open. A young woman with bright pink hair appeared, probably another artist. Marlo, someone wants to buy 3 of your pieces. The collector from Beacon Hill. Marlo's face lit up with genuine surprise and joy. Seriously? Dead serious. Come on. She started to follow, then turned back to me. I have to go. This is huge for me. Go, I smiled. I'm proud of you. She hesitated, then quickly kissed my cheek before disappearing inside. I stood there for a long time, my hand touching where her lips had been, knowing I was falling deeper into something I had no right to feel. 2 days later, everything fell apart. I was having lunch with Vivian and both our families at the country club when my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number with a photo attached. It was me and Marlo on that rooftop, standing close, the moment clearly intimate. The message read, "Interesting company you're keeping. Would hate for this to go public. We should talk. V.A. Vincent Ashford, Vivian's father." My blood ran cold. "Simon?" Vivian touched my arm. "You look pale. Are you all right?" Across the table, Vincent was watching me with a small, knowing smile. He raised his wine glass slightly, a toast or a threat. "I'm fine," I managed. But I wasn't fine. Someone had been following me. Someone had photographed me with Marlo. And now Vincent Ashford, a man who'd destroyed business rivals over far less, had ammunition. The lunch dragged on for another hour. Every minute felt like torture. When it finally ended, Vincent pulled me aside. "Walk with me, son." We stepped onto the terrace overlooking the golf course. Vincent lit a cigar, taking his time. "I know you young men like to have your fun before settling down," he said casually. "I was young once, too. But there's a time and place for discretion. Sir, That waitress," he cut me off. "She's quite pretty. I can see the appeal. But she's also a liability. One photograph in the wrong hands and this marriage, could be jeopardized. My daughter's reputation, your family's standing, billions of dollars in combined assets. All at risk because of some girl who serves salmon for a living." His tone was pleasant, but the threat was crystal clear. "What do you want?" I asked. "End it. Whatever this is, end it tonight. Never see her again." He took a long drag of his cigar. "Or I release these photos. The media will have a field day. Montgomery Ayres' sordid affair. Your father's political connections ruined. The business deals he's been cultivating gone. And that girl, she'll be crucified in the press. They'll destroy her." He was right. I knew how this world worked. They'd eat Marlo alive. "Do we have an understanding?" Vincent extended his hand. I looked at that hand, perfectly manicured, holding all the power, and thought about Marlo, her paintings, her honesty, her freedom, and I realized I had a choice to make that would change everything. I didn't shake Vincent's hand. Instead, I walked away without a word, got in my car, and drove straight to the restaurant. Marlo was in the middle of her shift when I arrived. The hostess tried to seat me, but I went directly to the bar and waited. 45 minutes later, when her section cleared, she finally approached. "Twice in 1 week. Should I be flattered or concerned?" She was smiling, but it faded when she saw my face. "What's wrong?" "We need to talk. When's your break?" "Simon, you're scaring me. Please." 5 minutes later, we were in the alley behind the restaurant. The smell of garbage and cigarette smoke surrounded us, a far cry from the country club terrace. "They know," I said. "About us. About the gallery opening." Marlo's face went pale. "Who knows?" "Vincent Ashford, Vivian's father. Someone followed us, took photos." I ran my hand through my hair. "He threatened to release them to the press if I don't end this." "And what? We haven't even started anything." But her voice shook. "Marlo." "No." She stepped back. I knew this was a bad idea. "I told you on that rooftop, I'm not someone's scandal." "You're not. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm telling you." I reached for her hand, but she pulled away. "If these photos go public, they'll destroy you. The media, the trolls online, they'll dig up everything, your art, your life, your privacy. Gone. And you? What happens to you? My family loses business deals. My father's political ambitions take a hit. The wedding becomes a spectacle." I laughed bitterly. "But I'll survive." "I always do. People like me always land on their feet." "So you're here to break up with me?" She crossed her arms. "We're not even together, Simon. We've had, 5 conversations. You bought a painting. We stood on a rooftop. That's it. You know it's more than that. Do I? Her eyes were bright with unshed tears. Because from where I'm standing, you're choosing the easy path. The safe path. You're going back to your glass prison and your merger marriage, and I'm supposed to what? Understand? Wish you well? I'm trying to protect you. I don't need your protection. The tears spilled over now. I need honesty. So be honest, Simon. Are you ending this because of the threats, or because it was always going to end? Because you were always going to choose the life you know over the risk of something real? The question hit like a punch to the gut because I didn't know the answer. We stood in that filthy alley, the noise of the city around us, and I saw my future split into two paths. One led back to everything I'd ever known: safety, predictability, wealth, and suffocation. The other led into complete uncertainty with a woman who made me feel alive for the first time in years. I don't know, I whispered. Marlowe nodded slowly, wiping her eyes. Then you've already made your choice. She turned to go back inside. Wait. I grabbed her arm gently. Give me time. Let me figure this out. How much time? You have 43 days until you marry someone else. She looked at my hand on her arm, then up at my face. I won't be your last hurrah, Simon. I won't be the girl you think about wistfully while you're on your honeymoon. I deserve more than that. You deserve everything, I said. That's the problem. I can't give you everything. I can barely give you anything. Then let me go. Her voice was soft but firm. Stop coming to the restaurant. Stop looking at me like I'm your salvation. Go marry Vivian, merge your empires, and forget about the waitress who called you out. She pulled free and walked back inside, leaving me alone in the alley. I didn't go to the restaurant for a week. Instead, I threw myself into wedding planning with a desperation that probably looked like enthusiasm to everyone else. Cake tastings, seating charts, rehearsals. I said yes to everything, showed up for everything, played the perfect groom. At night, I dreamed about red hair and honey eyes. Vivian noticed the change. You're being very agreeable lately, she commented during a meeting with the wedding planner. It's suspicious. Maybe I'm just accepting reality, I said. Good. Reality is much more comfortable than fantasy. She patted my hand with all the warmth of a business handshake. My mother was thrilled. Finally, you're acting like a Montgomery, she said. My father nodded approvingly at board meetings, already planning how to leverage the Ashford connections. Everyone was happy, except me. On day 8, I broke. I went to the restaurant at closing time. Most of the staff had left, but Marlowe was still there, counting tips at a back table. She looked exhausted, and I noticed she'd cut her hair shorter. We're closed, she said without looking up. I know. Then why are you here? Because I can't stay away. I sat down across from her. I tried, Marlowe. I tried to do the right thing, the safe thing. I went to every wedding planning meeting, smiled for every photo. I was good. Congratulations. Her tone was ice. But every time I close my eyes, I see you. That first night, the way you looked at me like I was just a person, not a commodity. Your paintings, full of all the emotion I've buried for years. The way you kissed my cheek on that rooftop. She finally looked up. Simon, don't. I'm in love with you. The words hung in the air between us. Marlowe's expression went through shock, anger, and something that might have been hope before settling on resignation. You can't be. But I am. You've known me for 2 weeks. I've known myself for 31 years, and I've never felt this before. I leaned forward. Tell me you don't feel it too. Tell me I'm crazy, and I'll leave right now. I'll marry Vivian. I'll never bother you again. Marlowe stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the floor. You want me to tell you I don't feel it? Fine. I don't feel it. I don't think about you. I don't paint you into every canvas. I don't... Her voice broke. Damn you, Simon Montgomery. Damn you for making me hope. Before I could respond, her phone rang. She looked at the screen and her face went white. "What is it?" I asked. She answered, listened for 30 seconds, then sat down heavily. "That was my landlord," she said quietly. "Someone paid off my entire building, bought it. Everyone's being evicted in 30 days. She looked at me with devastated eyes. "It was Vincent Ashford, wasn't it? This is what happens when I don't stay away from you." And I realized the threats were just beginning. I called Vincent Ashford at midnight. "I was wondering when I'd hear from you," he answered, not a trace of sleep in his voice. "Did she get the eviction notice?" "You son of a bitch." "Careful, Simon. That's your future father-in-law you're speaking to." He sounded amused. "I warned you what would happen. You made your choice. I stayed away for a week. And then you went crawling back. Did you really think I wouldn't have someone watching?" He paused. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to marry my daughter in 36 days. You're going to smile for the cameras and play the devoted husband. And that waitress? She's going to disappear from your life completely. If I see you within 100 feet of her, I'll destroy more than just her housing situation. What else could you possibly? Her job, her art career, those galleries that suddenly showed interest. I can make one phone call and they'll never return her emails again. That sale she made? The collector was a friend of mine. Easy to reverse." His voice turned cold. "I can erase her, Simon. Make her invisible. Or you can walk away, and she keeps her life. Your choice." He hung up. I sat in my car outside Marlowe's building for an hour, watching lights turn off in apartments, wondering which window was hers, wondering if she was crying, if she hated me, if she wished we'd never met. Then I made a decision that terrified me. The next morning, I walked into my father's office unannounced. "I'm not marrying Vivian," I said. My father looked up from his computer, expression unreadable. "Excuse me?" "The wedding. I'm calling it off." He stood slowly, and I saw the anger building like a storm. "Have you lost your mind?" "Maybe, but I'm not going through with it. This marriage represents 18 months of negotiations, Simon. Billions in combined assets, political alliances, business synergies. I don't love her. She doesn't love me. It's a transaction, and I'm done being traded like stock." My father's face turned red. "You entitled, selfish child. Do you have any idea what you're throwing away? What you're costing this family?" "I know exactly what I'm throwing away. A life that was never mine. This is about that girl, isn't it? That waitress." He said it like a curse. "Vincent told me you were still sniffing around her. I didn't want to believe my son could be that stupid. Her name is Marlowe, and she's not that waitress. She's an artist, she's brilliant, and she's the only person who's ever made me feel like I matter for reasons other than my last name. Love." My father spat the word. "You're willing to destroy decades of careful planning because of infatuation. I'm willing to destroy it because I finally found something worth fighting for. Then you're a fool." He sat back down, his voice turning icy calm. "If you walk away from this marriage, you walk away from everything. The company, the trust fund, the family name. You'll have nothing. I'll have my freedom. Freedom doesn't pay the bills, son. And that girl you're so enamored with? How long do you think she'll want you when you're broke? When you can't afford her rent or her art supplies? When you're just another struggling nobody?" The words stung because part of me wondered the same thing, but I pushed the doubt away. "I guess I'll find out." I walked out of his office and didn't look back. Marlowe's restaurant shift ended at 10. I was waiting outside when she emerged, still wearing her uniform, her face exhausted. "We need to talk," I said. "I have nothing to say to you." She tried to walk past me, but I stepped in front of her. "I called off the wedding." She stopped. "What?" "I told my family I'm not marrying Vivian. I told my father to hell with the merger, the money, all of it." I took a breath. "He disowned me, cut me off completely." Marlo stared at me like I'd grown a second head. Are you insane? Simon, you can't just… I already did. Vincent threatened to destroy your life if I didn't walk away. So I'm choosing the nuclear option. If I'm not marrying Vivian, there's no reason for him to come after you. You're not making sense. You threw away your entire life. For you. I threw it away for you. I moved closer. And before you tell me how stupid and impulsive and ridiculous that is, let me say one thing. I spent 31 years living a life that was planned by other people. Every decision made for me, every path predetermined. And I was miserable, Marlo. Comfortable and wealthy and absolutely miserable. Tears were streaming down her face now. You barely know me. I know that you're brave enough to tell the truth when everyone else is lying. I know you pour your soul into your art. I know you kissed my cheek on a rooftop and I haven't stopped thinking about it since. I wiped a tear from her face. I know that losing everything I had is worth it if I get a chance at something real with you. This is crazy. Probably. But I'm all in, Marlo. The question is, are you? She looked at me for a long moment, searching my face for doubt or deception. Then she kissed me. Not on the cheek this time, but full on the mouth, desperate and fierce and real. When we broke apart, both of us were shaking. I'm terrified, she whispered. Me too. Your family will hate me. They'll blame me for everything. Let them. We'll probably crash and burn spectacularly. Probably, I smiled, but at least we'll burn together. She laughed through her tears, then kissed me again. We spent that night talking in a 24-hour diner, planning a future neither of us could see clearly. By dawn we had decided. I'd find a job, we'd get a small apartment together, figure it out one day at a time. It was terrifying and exhilarating and absolutely insane. I was texting my lawyer about liquidating the few assets my father couldn't touch when Marlo's phone rang. She answered, and I watched her face drain of all color. When is he… Oh, God. Okay, I'm coming right now. She hung up, her hand trembling. What happened? That was Carlos, the busboy from the restaurant. Someone broke into the gallery last night. Her voice was barely a whisper. They destroyed everything. All my paintings. Everything I've worked on for the last 3 years. Gone. She looked at me with devastation and dawning realization. Vincent did this, didn't he? Even after you called off the wedding, he still… I'll kill him, I said, already standing. No. She grabbed my arm. Don't you see? This is what he wants. He wants you to do something stupid, get arrested, prove you're unstable. He's not going to stop, Simon. Not until one of us breaks. She was right. And looking at her broken expression, I realized that maybe love wasn't enough. Maybe I'd just dragged her into a war neither of us could win. The gallery was a crime scene without the crime tape. Shredded canvases littered the floor like confetti. Paint splattered the walls where frames had been smashed. 3 years of Marlo's soul, destroyed in one night. She stood in the center of the devastation, not crying anymore, just staring. The security cameras were conveniently offline, the gallery owner, Marcus, told us. His voice was tight with barely controlled anger. And the insurance company is already saying they won't cover it. Act of vandalism, they claim, not covered under the policy. Vincent paid them off, I said. Probably, but I can't prove it, and my lawyer says we have no case. Marcus put a hand on Marlo's shoulder. I'm so sorry, kid. I really thought this was your breakthrough. After he left, Marlo finally spoke. I need to go home. Let me drive you. Alone. I need to be alone. The look in her eyes terrified me. It wasn't anger or sadness. It was emptiness. She didn't answer my calls for 2 days. On the 3rd day, she sent a text. Meet me at the restaurant, 3 p.m. I arrived early, my stomach in knots. When Marlo walked in, she looked different, harder, like she'd made a decision and armed herself against any argument. I'm leaving Boston, she said before I could speak. The words hit like a physical blow. What? My sister lives in Portland. She said I can stay with her, get back on my feet. Marlo wouldn't meet my eyes. I've already given my notice at the restaurant. Marlo, no, we can fight this. Fight with what, Simon? Now she looked at me, and I saw the defeat. You have no money. I have no art. Vincent Ashford has unlimited resources and a vendetta. How exactly do we fight that? Together. We fight it together. No. She shook her head. This is my life he's destroying. My work, my home, my career. And why? Because I fell for a guy I barely know. Because you decided to play hero and blow up your entire world for some fantasy of us. It's not a fantasy. Isn't it? Her voice cracked. Look around, Simon. This is reality. Vincent wins because people like him always win. And people like us? We just survive the collateral damage. So you're running away. I'm surviving. There's a difference. She stood up. I care about you. Maybe I even love you, I don't know. But I can't watch my entire life burn down because of it. I can't. Marlo, please. Goodbye, Simon. She walked out, and I let her go. Because maybe she was right. Maybe I had been selfish, dragging her into my rebellion without thinking about the cost to her. I spent the next week in a studio apartment I could barely afford, working as a consultant for a tech startup that paid a fraction of what I was worth. My mother called once, crying, begging me to apologize to my father. I hung up. Vivienne sent an email. You humiliated me and my family. I hope it was worth it. It wasn't. Not if Marlo was gone. On Friday, I was going through old emails when I found something strange. A forwarded message from 3 years ago, before I'd met Vivienne, before any of this started. It was from an investigator my father had hired to do background checks on the Ashford family before the merger talks began. Most of it was standard. Financial records, property holdings, business dealings. But there was one paragraph I'd never noticed before, probably because I hadn't cared at the time. Note: Vincent Ashford's company, Ashford Technologies, has been under investigation by the SEC for potential insider trading since 2022. No charges filed, but investigation remains open. Recommend proceeding with caution. I read it 3 times. Then I called my former assistant, the one person from my old life who'd answered my calls. Jenny, I need a favor. That investigator Dad used to use, Marcus Reeves. Can you get me his contact information? 20 minutes later, I was on the phone with Reeves. Simon Montgomery, heard you had quite the falling out with your old man, he said. I need information on Vincent Ashford, the SEC investigation from 2022. That's confidential. I'll pay you everything I have, which isn't much these days, but it's something. I paused. He destroyed someone I care about. I need leverage. There was a long silence. Then, give me 48 hours. Reeves called back in 36. The SEC investigation never closed, he said. They've been building a case quietly. Vincent's been insider trading for years, using shell companies to hide the transactions. They have most of the evidence they need, but they've been waiting for one more piece. What piece? A witness, someone inside the company willing to testify. Reeves paused. I have a contact at the SEC. If you brought them something concrete, something that could make their case, Vincent would go to prison. For a long time. My heart was racing. How do I get something concrete? That's the tricky part. You'd need access to his files, his communications. Basically, you'd need someone on the inside. Someone on the inside. An idea formed, so crazy it might actually work. Thanks, Reeves. I owe you one. I hung up and immediately called the one person I never thought I'd speak to again. Vivienne answered on the second ring. You have some nerve. I need your help. And before you hang up, hear me out. I took a breath. Your father is going to prison. The SEC has been building an insider trading case against him for years. I can help them finish it, but I need evidence from inside Ashford Technologies. Silence. Why would I help you destroy my father? Because he destroyed my life and he's destroying Marlowe's life over a marriage neither of us wanted. Because you're smarter than your father gives you credit for, and you know the company will be better off without him. I paused. And because I think part of you resents being used as a pawn just as much as I did. More silence. Then, what do you need? 3 days later, I had copies of incriminating emails, transaction records, and recorded conversations. Vivian had given me everything. He'll know it was me eventually, she said when she handed over the flash drive. But honestly, I'm tired of being afraid of him. Thank you. Don't thank me. We're not friends, Simon. But maybe we can both be free of him. She turned to leave, then stopped. That waitress, Marlowe, she must be something special. She is. Then don't lose her over pride. If you love her, fight for her, even if she pushes you away. I took the evidence to the SEC the next morning. By evening, federal agents were raiding Ashford Technologies. Vincent was arrested at his country club, scotch in hand, surrounded by senators and CEOs. The news broke an hour later. Tech mogul Vincent Ashford, arrested for securities fraud. I immediately called Marlowe. It went to voicemail. It's over, I said. Vincent's been arrested. He can't hurt us anymore. I know you're in Portland. I know you needed space, but Marlowe, I'm still fighting for us. If you want to come home, I'll be here. If you don't, I'll understand. But please just call me back. I hung up and waited. 1 hour passed, then 2, then 12. She didn't call. And I began to wonder if I'd won the battle but lost the war. She didn't call for 5 days. I went to work at the startup, came home to my tiny apartment, and stared at my phone like it might suddenly ring through sheer force of will. My former life felt like a dream now. The mansions, the private jets, the endless excess. I didn't miss any of it, but I missed her. On day 6, I got a call from Marcus at the gallery. You should come down here, he said. There's something you need to see. When I arrived, the gallery was transformed. The walls that had been empty and destroyed were now covered with photographs. Not paintings. Photographs of Marlowe's destroyed work, blown up and mounted in stunning black and white. What is this? I asked. Art from destruction, Marcus explained. After the attack, I photographed everything before we cleaned up. I sent the photos to a friend at the Boston Globe. They ran a story about Vincent Ashford destroying a young artist's work out of spite. It went viral. People were outraged. He pulled up his phone, showing me social media posts with thousands of shares. The Justice for Marlowe was trending. Artists from all over the country started reaching out, Marcus continued, wanting to donate pieces for a show, wanting to help rebuild her career. And then yesterday, something incredible happened. He led me to the back office where a check lay on his desk. I looked at the amount and my jaw dropped. $150,000. Anonymous donation with one instruction. Give it to Marlowe to restart her art career. Marcus smiled. Any idea who might have done that? Vivian. It had to be. Does Marlowe know about any of this? I asked. I've been trying to reach her, but she's not answering my calls either. Marcus studied my face. You know, when she first started showing her work here, she told me she painted because it was the only way she knew how to be honest. Maybe it's time you were honest with her too. Really honest. I bought a plane ticket to Portland that night. Marlowe's sister, June, answered the door with a baby on her hip and suspicion in her eyes. You must be Simon, she said coldly, the guy who blew up my sister's life. Is she here? Do you really think I'm going to tell you that? June, please. I just need 5 minutes. She cried for 3 days straight when she got here. 3 days. Do you know how long it's been since I've seen my sister cry? She doesn't cry. She gets angry. She gets tough. But she doesn't cry. June shifted the baby to her other hip. So no, I don't think you deserve 5 minutes. You're right. I don't deserve it. but I'm asking anyway. I took a breath. I love her. I know that sounds crazy after such a short time. I know I made mistakes. I know I handled everything wrong. But I love her, and I need to tell her that. In person, not through a voicemail or a text message. June studied me for a long moment. Then she sighed. She's at the coffee shop on Morrison Street, the one with the blue awning. She goes there every afternoon to sketch. She pointed a finger at my chest. If you hurt her again, I will personally destroy you. Clear? Crystal. Ma, I found her in the corner of the coffee shop, hunched over a sketchbook, a half-empty latte next to her. She'd cut her hair even shorter, and she looked thinner, like she hadn't been eating properly. My heart broke and soared at the same time. I sat down across from her without asking. She looked up, and the shock on her face was quickly replaced by anger. What are you doing here? I came to tell you that you were right. That wasn't what she expected. What? You were right. About everything. I was selfish. I played hero without thinking about the cost to you. I dragged you into my rebellion and then acted surprised when it exploded in our faces. I leaned forward. But you were also wrong. Excuse me? You said what we had was a fantasy, that it wasn't real. I reached across the table and took her hand. She didn't pull away. Marlo, I've spent the last 2 weeks living in an apartment the size of my old closet, working a job that pays barely enough to survive, eating ramen for dinner. I lost my family, my money, my entire identity. And you know what? I'd do it again. All of it. Because those moments with you, those were the realest moments of my entire life. Tears were forming in her eyes. Simon, I'm not done. Vincent's in jail. He can't hurt you anymore. And Marcus has been trying to reach you because something amazing happened. The story of what Vincent did went viral. Artists all over the country rallied behind you. Someone donated $150,000 to restart your career. The gallery wants to do a whole new show. What? She pulled her hand back, overwhelmed. That's not... I can't. You can. And you should. Because you're talented, Marlo. Your art matters. You matter. I paused. But none of that is why I'm here. I'm here because I miss you. I miss your brutal honesty and your paint-stained fingers and the way you look at the world like it's something to be challenged, not accepted. She was crying now, not bothering to wipe the tears away. I'm scared, she whispered. I'm scared that if I come back, something else will go wrong. That someone else will come after us. That we'll crash and burn just like I said. We might. Probably will, actually. I have no idea what I'm doing. I smiled. But I'd rather crash with you than coast safely without you. That's a terrible analogy. I'm new at this. Give me a break. She laughed through her tears, and it was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard. You flew all the way to Portland to tell me this. I would have flown to Timbuktu if that's where you were. That's so cheesy. I know. I'm full of terrible lines today. I stood up and held out my hand. Come back to Boston with me. Not because of the money or the gallery show. Come back because we deserve a chance to figure out what this is without someone trying to destroy us. She looked at my hand for a long moment. Then she looked up at my face, searching for doubt or deception. She wouldn't find any. This was me. Completely honest, completely vulnerable, completely hers. If I come back, she said slowly, we do this right. No more grand gestures, no more playing hero. We figure it out together, like actual partners. Deal. And you have to meet June properly and apologize for making me cry. Done. And you're buying dinner. Good dinner. I'm tired of ramen. I think I can manage that. She took my hand and stood up. You're lucky I'm crazy about you. Does that mean... It means I'm coming home. She kissed me, soft and sweet and full of promise. But you're still on probation. I'll take it. We left the coffee shop hand in hand, and for the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe again. The war was over. Vincent was gone. My old life was ashes. But I had Marlo, and that was everything. 6 months later, I stood in a crowded gallery watching Marlo talk to a collector about her latest piece. She was wearing a paint-splattered dress she'd made herself, her short red hair tucked behind her ears, completely in her element. Phoenix Rising, that's what she'd called the show. 23 paintings created from the ashes of what Vincent had destroyed. The critics called it raw, honest, and triumphant. I just called it Marlo. Every single piece had sold. She's something else, Marcus said, appearing beside me with champagne. I've been in this business 20 years, and I've never seen an artist connect with people like she does. That's because she's fearless, I said, watching her laugh at something the collector said. She puts everything on the canvas. Speaking of fearless, Marcus grinned, when are you going to make an honest woman out of her? I patted my jacket pocket where a small velvet box had been burning a hole for the last 3 weeks. Soon. Good. You two are disgustingly in love. Might as well make it official. He clinked his glass against mine and walked away. The truth was, the last 6 months had been the hardest and best of my life. My father still refused to speak to me. My mother sent cards on holidays but wouldn't visit. The Montgomery name that once opened every door now got me nothing but curiosity and whispered gossip. But I had Marlo. We lived in a small apartment above a Thai restaurant. I worked at the startup, which had just gotten its second round of funding. My share wouldn't make me rich, but it was honest money. Marlo painted and waited tables when she needed extra cash. We ate takeout more than home-cooked meals. Our furniture was mostly second-hand, and I'd never been happier. Hey, you. Marlo appeared at my elbow, slightly breathless. This is insane. Marcus says we sold out. I know. I've been counting. Show off. She kissed my cheek. Thank you for being here. I know gallery openings aren't your favorite. Are you kidding? Watching you shine? This is my favorite place to be. She blushed, which was rare for Marlo. Okay, that was smooth. Who taught you that? I had a good teacher. She's brutally honest and calls me out on my bullshit regularly. She sounds amazing. She is. I took her hand. Can we talk for a minute? Somewhere quiet? Marlo's eyes narrowed with suspicion, but she followed me up to the rooftop. The same rooftop where we'd first admitted there was something between us. The Boston skyline glittered before us, just like it had that night. This feels familiar, Marlo said, leaning against the railing. I like this spot. Good memories. I moved to stand beside her. Marlo, I need to tell you something. Oh, God. Are you dying? Please don't be dying. What? No. Why would you? Because you have your serious face on. It's the same face you had when you told me Vincent destroyed my paintings. I don't have a serious face. You absolutely do. It's the one where you look like you're about to deliver bad news, but you're trying to be brave about it. I laughed. Okay, noted. But this isn't bad news. At least I hope it isn't. I took a breath. 6 months ago, you told me that if we were going to do this, we needed to do it right. As partners. No more hero complex. No more grand gestures. And you've been very good about that. Gold star for you. But here's the thing. I want to make one more grand gesture. Just one. And then I'm done. I promise. Before she could respond, I pulled out the velvet box and got down on one knee. Marlo's hands flew to her mouth. Simon, let me say this before I lose my nerve. I opened the box, revealing a simple diamond ring, not the massive rock my mother would have chosen, but something elegant and real. Marlo, you called me out the first night we met. You saw through all the bullshit and made me want to be better. Not richer, not more powerful, just better. More honest, more alive. Tears were already streaming down her face. These last 6 months have been chaos. We've argued about whose turn it is to do dishes, We've eaten way too much Thai food. You've gotten paint on literally everything I own. And I love it. I love all of it. I love you." I paused. "So I'm asking, will you marry me? Not for a merger, not for business, not for anything except the fact that I want to spend the rest of my life crashing and burning with you." She was crying and laughing at the same time. "You had to bring up the crashing and burning thing again, didn't you? It's our thing now. God, I love you." She pulled me up and kissed me hard. "Yes. Yes, of course I'll marry you, you ridiculous man." I slipped the ring on her finger, and she admired it in the moonlight. "It's perfect," she whispered. "Not too flashy, not too boring. Just right. Like us." "Like us," she agreed. Below, the gallery crowd had spilled onto the street, celebrating Marlowe's success. Above, we held each other and planned a future built on nothing but love and honesty. It wasn't the life I'd been raised for. It was so much better. 2 years later, "Simon, the twins are painting the dog again." I rushed into the living room to find our rescue mutt, Pablo, covered in what I hoped was washable paint, while 2 3-year-olds giggled maniacally. Not our kids. Marlowe's sister June had left them with us while she went to a doctor's appointment. "All right, artists, let's redirect that creativity to paper, okay?" I scooped up both kids while Marlowe grabbed Pablo for an emergency bath. We'd bought a small house in Somerville last year. Nothing fancy, but it had a yard and a studio for Marlowe. The startup had been acquired by a larger company, and my shares had finally paid off. Not Montgomery money, but enough that Marlowe could paint full-time, and we could stop eating Thai food 7 nights a week. My father had shown up at our wedding, surprising everyone, including me. He didn't apologize, didn't explain, just shook my hand and said, "You look happy." It wasn't much, but it was something. Vivian had testified against her father, who was serving 15 years. She'd taken over Ashford Technologies and promptly reformed it, becoming the CEO she'd always been capable of being. She and Marlowe were friendly now, bonded by their mutual desire to never talk about Vincent again. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Marcus holding a bottle of wine. "Celebration time," he announced. "Your wife just got accepted into the Whitney Biennial." "She what?" Marlowe emerged from the bathroom, Pablo half-washed and the kids now painting each other. "Marcus, are you serious?" "Dead serious. I got the call an hour ago. Marlowe Montgomery, you're officially a big deal." She still hadn't gotten used to being called Montgomery, even 2 years after the wedding. But I loved hearing it. That night, after June picked up her paint-covered children, after Pablo was finally clean, after Marcus left, Marlowe and I sat on our back porch with cheap beer and expensive dreams. "The Whitney," she said, still in shock. "That's huge. You deserve it. You've always deserved it." She looked at me, paint still under her fingernails, hair in a messy bun, wearing my old college t-shirt. "Do you ever regret it? Giving up everything?" "Never. Not once." "Not even a little? The money, the status, I kissed her. "I have everything I need." "We're so cheesy now," she laughed against my lips. "Disgustingly so." "I love it." "Me too." Years ago, in a pretentious Boston restaurant, a waitress had humiliated me in front of everyone. She'd called me out, challenged me, made me question everything I thought I knew about my life. She'd destroyed me in the best possible way. And together, we'd built something real from the ruins. The end